Where you live to even how you speak, it has a great impact on your life and your success. Consider this analogy. Think of various products when you go shopping. Some products look extremely luxurious and expensive at first glance, to a point that you do not even check their price. Others look very substandard that you don't even give them a second look, while others appear well packaged and excellent and well within your means. You are just like a product. Think about how you have packaged yourself and whether it really represents who you are and what you aspire to be. There is such a thing as over-branding and even under-branding yourself, something you need to be careful about. Young, upwardly mobile men and women sometimes tend to overprice themselves out of the market. This is as bad as under-embracing yourself. Some of the signs that you have overpriced yourself could be that you look like $1 million on social media, but your salary does not reflect this. It also means that you live in a very expensive neighborhood while struggling for food and petrol and maybe have even no savings. This could cost you potential jobs and even partners. Think about it. You are trying too hard to keep up appearances by spending a lot on your packaging, such that at a glance, everything about you screams luxury. On the other hand, is an underpackaged person, and that is one who lives far below his or her means and could do some better packaging in order to meet his or her maximum potential. Aim to achieve the right balance by getting the best you can afford while ensuring that you do not break the bank. This is Self-Care Tips. I am Irene Joroge.
With the certified seed, you'll never have bacterial wilt, and you'll also not have a disease called potato cyst nematode.
Biasi yenye tulitoa hapa tuliletewa na director wetu, ilifanya kazi mzuri sana.
Tutasaidia serikali kwa kupunguza njaa. Naona kama nchi yetu haitakuwa na shida ya chakula.
Yote haya kwenye KBC Channel 1.
Good evening, welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now tonight we have political stories for you. It is a hot day when it comes to the political scenes. We have those stories, and in business, young and industrious is what most of you have been asking for. In sports, Munga with all the action. But first, let's have the highlights. ODM leader Raila Odinga dares Deputy President William Ruto to resign. Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate William Ruto challenges his opponents to prioritize solutions over power. Kenya's economy rebounds from COVID disruptions to register a 7.9% growth. Welcome back. Our sign language interpreter today is Lucy Maura, and we would like to hear from you. You can send us your feedback and comments on KBC Channel 1 on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Now, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential nominee Raila Odinga is urging the Deputy President William Ruto to leave a government instead of criticizing it from within. Raila, who held a number of meetings in Nyandara and Nakuru counties, said the DP should not use the taxpayers' money fighting the government he is serving in. Raila promised to give Kenyans a value for their money if he wins presidency in the August 9th polls.
The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition flag bearer Raila Odinga Thursday led a team to a series of meetings in Nyandarua and Nakuru counties.
Atio kazi yafanyiki katika serikali hapo. Kama wewe unasema kazi yafanyiki, mbona ujiuzulu? Mbona utoki? Unakula pesa ya serikali hapo ndani, ingine unaiba, alafu baadaye wewe unalaumu mtu mwingine. Unajua hawa jamaa.
Raila promising a new order once elected president, saying Kenyans will reap bigger under his stewardship. The former Prime Minister urging locals to back his presidential bid, saying the Azimio coalition has a clear agenda of where it wants to take the country.
Tumesema ya kwamba kila mtoto katika taifa letu atapata fursa sawa kuanzia nursery mpaka katika chuo kikuu.
Leaders from Central Kenya who had accompanied him called on Kenyans to rally behind the coalition in the August 9th general election.
Tuhakikishe those 90 days tutaenda door to door. Na watu wetu wakikataa kusikiza tunapitia kwa dirisha.
Tumefanya kazi na baba from 2003 mpaka 2013 for 10 years, so I know his capacity.
Musikubali kuwa nje ya serikali.
Nitakushikilia kwa vile nimekuwa mwanafunzi wako na Mheshimiwa Rais wa karibu sana.
The coalition's executive director Raphael Tuju stating why the Jubilee Party severed ties with the Deputy President William Ruto.
Sasa kama mtu anaweza chukua that kind of money kabla hajakuwa president, je, siku ile atakuwa president itakuwaje? Kama mtu uwezi kumtrust kuchunga gala ya mahindi, utampatia Central Bank achunge?
Irene Mchuma, Udim, the Prime Edition.
Still on politics, Deputy President William Ruto has challenged his opponents to focus on finding solutions to the challenges facing ordinary Kenyans instead of being preoccupied with apportioning political positions. Ruto, who led the Kenya Kwanza team in a series of meetings in Nyamira and Kisii counties, pledged to oversee the construction of tea and coffee factories in the region to protect local farmers from unscrupulous middlemen. Wycliffe Catch reports.
Second and final day in Gusiland. DP Ruto led the Kenya Kwanza coalition in yet another economic forum in Nyamira County in a bid to sell his economic model to locals. Ruto challenging his opponents to develop an agenda that will address the plight of Kenyans.
Na ndio tunasema priority ya Kenya sio kubadilisha katiba kutengeneza vyeo ya viongozi. Priority ya Kenya ni kubadilisha uchumi, tuweke pesa ya serikali katika sekta ambayo itatoa ajira kwa vijana wa taifa letu la Kenya.
Ruto said should the coalition form the next government, it will oversee the construction of tea and coffee industries in the region to protect local farmers from what he termed as abuse by unscrupulous middlemen.
Priority yetu namba moja, tunaweka bilioni 100 katika mambo ya housing, agro processing, value addition, manufacturing ile tumeongea hapa, ndio kupatikane nafasi za ajira za vijana wetu wa taifa la Kenya, tukianza na vijana wa hapa Nyamira.
The principals also promised to relook at the health sector, pledging modifications to the NHIF program.
Lakini serikali inayokuja itakuwa focused kuinua mwananchi wa chini. kwa sababu tunajua ya kwamba kazi ni kazi, lazima iheshimike.
Na tumesema hivi, wale ambao ni mapato yao ni ya chini, kama mama mboga pale na mtu ya bodaboda hawawezi kulipa shilingi 500, tutapunguza gharama ya wale mama mboga na bodaboda. Na wale tunapata mshahara kubwa kama William Ruto na wengine, tutajiongezea tulipe zaidi, ndio kila Mkenya abebe mzigo sawa na mwenzake ya kulipa gharama ya matibabu katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Leaders who attended the meeting urged locals to rally behind the DP and the coalition.
Kama watu wa Kisii na Nyamira counties mbili tumeshikana, na ukiangalia hapa Nyamira wabunge 4 wabunge 3 out of 4 na viongozi wote na hao wazee wa heshima na wamama ambao wameketi hapa, wameketi tangu asubuhi hadi wakati huu kwa sababu wanaamini uongozi wako.
Tangu tupate nafasi ya Wakenya kutafuta kura ama vyeo mbalimbali, kwa cheo cha rais, we have the highest number of independent candidates that you can ever think of for the position of president. Huenda some of these independent candidates are also projects ya kugawanya kura ya urais.
The Kenya Kwanza coalition concludes its 2 days political engagements in the counties of Nyamira and Kisii with a clarion call on the locals to back it in the upcoming polls. The coalition now switches gears to the Mulembe Nation starting Friday. For Prime Edition from Nyamira County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka now says he expects nothing short of being named the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party's deputy presidential nominee. The Wiper Party leader says he has enough experience, having served as vice president and Raila Odinga's running mate in 2 election cycles, and will therefore not subject himself to any vetting set up by the coalition.
Even though the panel has opted to vacate the idea of physical interviews for Raila Odinga's running mate hopefuls, the possibility of subjecting Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka to the process continues to elicit mixed reactions, with Kalonzo coming out to state his stand. Kalonzo decided to do a whirlwind tour of Machakos and Makueni counties as he sought to assure his political base that all was well. The Wiper Party leader guns blazing, accusing those keen on subjecting him to a running mate vetting process of seeking to undermine him.
Hakuna mchezo hapa. Hakuna mchezo. Kama unadhani unaweza kumtisha Kalonzo, you need prayers, my friend. Na nitakuombea tu. Nitakuombea. Na sipangwingwi. Uwezi kunipanga. Sipangwingwi. Wale watu wajue uwezi kumpanga Kalonzo, haiwezekani.
Kalonzo says his experience in government as vice president, being Raila Odinga's running mate for 2 election cycles, and the backing of the Ukambani vote is an edge over any other hopeful.
Wananchi wenyewe ndio wanasema Kalonzo amekuwa vice president wa Kibaki miaka 5. Kalonzo amekuwa running mate wa Raila 2013 na 2017. Interview gani unaenda kufanyiwa? Interview gani hiyo?
Mheshimiwa Kalonzo amekuwa deputy yako mara 2, 2017 na kutoka mkiongea akakubali step down. Nakuuliza, nakwambia Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga baba, angalia hao wengine hawana numbers.
Mkitaka Raila asikuwe president, jaribuni kunyima Kalonzo nafasi ya deputy president. Hizo interview Raila maliza leo, useme leo usiku Kalonzo ni next deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Hatutaki story nyingine.
Tutaamua sisi na Wiper baada ya tarehe 10, lakini tumesema kwa hiari yetu Kalonzo awapatie kitabu inaitwa Against All Odds, wale wamjui waisome, wale kamati ya watu 7. Hiyo tu, lakini Kalonzo hatakanyaga kwa hiyo interview.
Kalonzo has also dismissed his newfound defenders in the Deputy President William Ruto-led Kenya Kwanza, claiming he was keen on upsetting Ruto's presidential ambitions.
Wengine wanasema sijui ati watu wa UDA ndio wanatetea Kalonzo. Sitaki UDA initetee. Nataka kuangusha UDA.
But does he see a way out of the legal quagmire he faces if he is not named running mate?
I'm a servant of the living God. With every temptation or challenge, God will provide a way of escape. Wewe huwezi kuzuia Kalonzo. Wewe ni nani unamzuia?
Though Kalonzo Musyoka insists that the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party must make him running mate, questions abound on the legal choices for the man from Saikuru if the coalition does not name him the running mate, considering that he had signed the instruments of the coalition. John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Thank you, Kira, for that report. Amani National Congress says the Kenya Kwanza Alliance was not formed on a platform of sharing elective positions. The party's Secretary General Simon Gikuyu says the coalition targeting the provision of better services, revival of the economy, and reduction of the public debt.
Gekoro said the Kenya Kwanza coalition was not so much focused on power sharing, but was working on a formula to winning the August 9th general election.
Our manifesto as a party will be actualized, and we will have a chance to form government and serve Kenyans and implement our manifesto within Kenya Kwanza. It is not about what my party leader will get. It's not about what Senator Wetangula will get. It's about our common agenda, common ideology, and service to Kenyans.
ANC has also dismissed 6 pieces voting in Kenya Kwanza Alliance, saying every party has a right to contest the election in any elective position.
So I don't see why there should be so much hurry, yet even our opponents in Azimio have not unveiled. So I would appeal that let us be patient, let us wait for the 16th, and it will be public knowledge.
Farmers Party candidate, both any voting in any of those candidates is part of the 6-piece because we all support.
Kama waniaji ndani ya Nairobi County, ndani ya Kenya nzima, ya kuwa tunafanya kazi pamoja, hakuna 6-piece, ni nguvu.
In Nairobi, a section of elderly women drawn from Mathare constituency has endorsed Agnes Kagore for the independent governorship in Nairobi County after the Jubilee Party gave Polycarp Igathe the ticket. The group accusing the Jubilee Party of being unfair to women leadership and vowed to campaign for Kagore to capture the seat.
Kwa maana kama hawatapea Agnes Kagore hiyo ticket ya Azimio, sisi wa mama wote tutatoka tuende kwa chama, tukae hivyo au tuende kwa kwa independent.
Tunataka Agnes Kagore. Tukasido ni kitu gani Kagore alikosa, ama ni masomo tuambio, ama ni nini kile alikosa, tukaletwa mwanaume. Tunataka Agnes Kagore.
Meanwhile, the ODM gubernatorial aspirant Moitalel Olekenta is assuring minority communities residing along the Mau Forest of equality opportunities to both levels of government if elected. Speaking at Ololulunga Center during a consultation meeting with over 200 representatives, Olekenta promised to ensure the community enjoys the fruits of his administration once elected.
Kama jamii ya Wamasai, lazima ndugu hao wetu na madada hao wetu wawe na sisi hata kwa mambo ya uongozi na mambo pia ya kupata nafasi kwa serikali ya juu. Serikali yangu ikiingia, sababu itaingia, jamii hawa lazima wapate waziri.
Ukijaliwa na Mungu kupata nafasi katika serikali ambaye tutaenda kupiga kura mwaka huu mwezi wa 8, hesabu jamii ya Ogie katika serikali yako ili tupate jicho.
Let's take a short break, but when we come back, we have the business stories for the day.
with the certified seed, you'll never have bacterial wilt, and you'll also not have a disease called potato cyst nematode.
Viazi yenye tulitoa hapa tuliletewa na director wetu, ilifanya kazi mzuri sana.
Tutasaidia serikali kwa kupunguza ajali. Naona kama nchi yetu haitakuwa na shida ya chakula.
Yote haya kwenye KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. Now, the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority says that it is undertaking reforms for effective service delivery. The reforms include the establishment of a state-of-the-art warehouse for medicine that will ensure public hospitals are well stocked.
The Kenya Medical Supplies Authority has outlined some of the reforms it is undertaking to ensure it restores trust of the public and offer proper services. As part of this endeavor, KEMSA now says that it has established a state-of-the-art warehouse for medication that is currently 90% complete and is set to be fully operational by the end of this year.
KEMSA has done its bit by ensuring that we have the commodities that are required for use in the facilities. It is now up to the counties then to place in their orders on time so that we can make deliveries, and they also, we appeal to them to make sure that they also pay us on time.
The authority says that it was in talks with USAID over their relations over a recent fallout over graft allegations and supply of ARVs.
We are at a very advanced stage of getting them to come back fully to support the operations of KEMSA. So that's the difference between then and now. And we're looking at come August, September, we should be fully operational with USAID.
KEMSA maintaining that nobody had been sacked and that the over 500 employees sent home were still on the payroll and were working from home.
The employees that took leave took the leave that was owed to them, that they needed to check. This is just part of the process, part of the restructuring process that we are going through.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health has received 21 vehicles from the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization Gavi that will support distribution of immunization resources from the depot to the sub-counties. Kagwe noting that there was concern over low uptake of routine vaccination among children under 1 year in the country that has made more susceptible to diseases.
Families that have ensured the vaccination of their children have managed to save lives of their children. How many deaths, how many funerals have we been at simply because children did not get vaccinated?
Nancy Okwari, Prime Edition.
Kenya's Press Freedom Index has improved from position 103 to 69 globally in 2022. According to the latest rankings by Paris-based Reporters Without Borders, Norway, Denmark and Sweden are safest countries for journalists to work in, with North Korea and Eritrea ranked as the worst, respectively. The report assessed the level of media freedom in 180 countries and territories.
As media stakeholders commemorated the World Press Freedom Day themed journalism and a digital siege, safety of journalists was a key highlight during this year's annual media summit. Kenya has improved in rankings in the latest Press Freedom Index.
The World Press Freedom ranking, where Kenya has been ranked number 69, the highest ever, up from number 103 last year, largely because while number one, the attacks on journalists have reduced, but the Media Council, in the report we submit annually to UNESCO and the UN, we were able to respond to 97% of all cases of threats against journalists. And by 97%, it means every case reported was acted upon.
Media Council of Kenya Chairman Maina Muiruri attributing the improvement to dedication of media stakeholders who have been on the forefront in promoting freedom of opinion.
World Press Freedom Day
has tackled the theme of journalism under siege. The siege means attacks, not just physical, not just verbal, but other factors that are attacking journalism. One of them is digital disruption, which has infiltrated the field of media.
According to the latest report by the Paris-based Reporters Without Borders, North Korea, Eritrea, Iran, Turkey and Myanmar had the worst record on media freedom. Norway, Denmark and Sweden were ranked the best countries in the world on press freedom. The survey assessed 180 countries on the level of media freedom.
If they have correct information, they would develop their own ideas for their own benefits. So we should allow the system to provide it for the people.
Media owners have been challenged to address cyberbullying and profiling of journalists and their line of duty as they continue embracing professionalism and credibility in the practice of journalism. Reporting for Prime Edition from Nairobi, my name is Frederick Mwoki.
The state broadcaster was not left behind as the Media Council of Kenya brought together stakeholders to commemorate World Press Freedom Day, traditionally observed on May 3rd. This year's regional celebrations were held in Arusha, Tanzania. Adding his voice on media space, the acting editor-in-chief Graham Kirwa said it is critical for scribes, especially in Kenya, to use the digital space professionally. Beatrice Gatonya with the details.
KBC's acting assistant editor-in-chief Graham Kirwa underlying the importance of media convergence in an era where digital space is more preferred.
The best thing for the old media is to go convergence, to ensure that their products are not only relayed on the old channel platform, but they also capture the digital era. Yeah? So all the programs must be tailored to ensure that the old media also goes digital.
He said the rise in digital journalism has brought with it both pros and cons, even as he emphasized on the need for journalist safety.
Digital space seems not to be well regulated. The information being passed at the digital era or the digital space is mainly propaganda, lies, mudslinging. So the old media must ensure that whatever they want to relay using digital space is factual, so that they can continue maintaining their professional ethics.
Kenya Union of Journalists Labour Secretary Silas Kirago said it is time traditional media claimed digital space, but not with misinformation.
Most of the code of ethics are diminishing because everybody is now reporting. And if everybody is now reporting, what happens to the journalists who are professionals?
Award-winning journalist Mariambo said there is need for journalists to maintain professionalism in the digital space.
I think my call to journalists is that to maintain professionalism in the face of digital media, where when something happens, before you can publish it in the mainstream media, the social media is already running with it. So as a professional journalist, it's incumbent that you verify.
Young journalists remain hopeful that as they join the industry, technology will work in their favor.
Huu ni wakati wa dijitali. Kwa hivyo kama mwanahabari ninahitajika kuhakikisha kwamba habari ambazo ninazitoa ni za uhakika, ni za kweli na ni zenye kuaminika, kwa sababu katika wakati huu wa kidijitali kuna habari nyingi ambazo zinaenea hukule mitandaoni. Nyingine baadhi ya habari hizo si sawa, ni za uongo.
I'm hoping that as we get to share our news, stories, any agenda we are pushing online, that we get to hold that presence, and we get to reach more people and also elicit the right kind of feedback that we are trying to get.
A meeting of scribes in Arusha, Tanzania, to mark World Press Freedom called for a relook in laws concerning use of digital media. The World Press Freedom Day was declared by the UN National Assembly in 1993. It serves as a reminder of governments to respect press freedom. Beatrice Getonyangetich, Prime Edition.
Okay, that is our newsroom. But I want to take you all the way to Serena Hotel, where the ICTCS Joe Musheru is currently speaking.
Mambo imeisha, tumalizie hapo, si ndio? I hope that is sufficient as a response. Asanteni sana.
Well, I think we came in a little bit late. I'm sorry for that, but I will tell you the highlights of his speech, which has to do on elections rigging. But now let's catch up with the business stories. The economy rebounded last year, growing by 7.5%, powered by the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions as compared to a contraction of 0.3% in 2020. This is according to the latest economic survey report that indicates that the economy was lifted by the manufacturing, hospitality and logistics sector. However, National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani projects the economy to slow this year under the weight of high fuel prices.
COVID-19 restrictions pushed to contract 0.3% in 2020, the first contraction in nearly 3 decades. However, the lifting of the restrictions and gradual reopening up of countries lifted economic activities, with Kenya rebounding to register a growth rate of 7.5%. This was driven by growth in sectors such as education at 214%, accommodation and food services at 52.5%, financial and insurance at 12.5%, while manufacturing rebound from a contraction of 0.4% in 2020 to 6.9%.
Overall, the country's economic performance for the year 2021 expanded by 7.5% compared to a decline of 0.3% in 2020.
Agriculture, which is the backbone of Kenya's economy, contracted 0.1% compared to a growth of 5.2% in 2020 due to poor and erratic rains.
It may be noted that the agricultural sector recorded a mixed performance, recording a contraction of 0.1% in 2021 compared to a more impressive growth of 5.2% in the year 2020. When all sectors failed to show any signs of growth, agriculture stood out with a growth of 5.2% 2020.
The value of trade increased by 26.3% to 2.9 trillion shillings. The value of exports rose to 743.7 billion shillings from 643.7 billion shillings during the previous year, with agriculture dominating the exports. On the other hand, the value of imports increased to 2.1 trillion shillings from 1.6 trillion shillings in 2020, with balance of trade widening 40% to 1.4 trillion shillings.
To continue accessing the international markets, noting that the number of reduced flights in and out of the country at that time, because when in and out flights were reduced, the challenges of the air freight was a big problem, and the government came in, gave subsidy, gave incentives, and as a result of this, they were kept afloat. These interventions were aimed at supporting the sustenance of our farming communities by providing continued gainful employment for thousands of workers in the sector.
Even though Yatani expects the economy to continue growing, he says the growth is unlikely to match the 2021 figure due to rising inflation, higher fuel prices, and a weaker shilling. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
Flamingos have flocked back to the Lake Bogoria in Baringo County after the end of the breeding season at Lake Natron in Tanzania. The flamingos courting dance at the lake, a natural heated swimming pool, and the rich culture are some of the key attractions in Bogoria, as Irene Muchuma Odim highlights in this week's episode of Magical Scenes.
1.3 million lesser and mature flamingos are on the banks of Lake Bogoria in Baringo County, creating an ideal spectacle for photographers and bird watchers.
Especially now that we don't have a lot of international tourists, the flamingos are not disturbed, because before people could flock in and, so there are as many as they can be.
The lake's abundance of algae attracts flamingos that had migrated to Lake Natron in Tanzania for breeding. The migratory birds are a spectacle to watch. Once again, it is that time of the year. The flamingos are back to Lake Bogoria in the county of Baringo after a breeding season in Lake Natron, Tanzania. You could be lucky enough to see them grazing, and most interesting bit about them that you could capture for a memory is their courtship dance. This is their courting dance. They lift their head high and slowly tiptoe while swinging from side to side. Their grazing tradition is also admirable. Lake Bogoria is also known for hot geysers that are medicinal and are a key tourist gem. This has seen facilities in this part of Kenya opt for geyser-heated swimming pools.
All clients will always want to have the ealing, the dip of the ealing. However, for exercise and also the temperatures here, we still have a number of clients swimming in the cold pool, which is 25 meters. So it's quite deep, and also the length. So, but again, we cannot debate about it. The spa pool takes it all.
A serene environment, ideal for birding, relaxation, team building, and game watching.
We progressively encourage clients to plant a tree, and you've seen some of them have names and have the dates when they were planted.
Bogoria is frequented by repeat visitors, or simply put, once you visit this destination, you will either want to stay longer or come back again. Irene Mchuma Odim, Magical Sense in Bogoria, Baringo County.
We cannot debate about it. The spa pools take it all. Magical Scenes comes to you every Thursday. We really do have a beautiful country. Now, moving on. Scrap metal traders, millers and smelters say the license fee is too high for those keen to legitimize their operations following the lifting of the ban on the scrap metal business. While calling on the government to reduce the license fee, they urge that the fee was prohibitive, especially for small-scale traders. So far, vetting committees at the county level are vetting 250 applications. Our reporter Regina Manyara was in Kamkunji Jua Kali Center and files the following report.
The government banned the trade and export of scrap metal in January this year following increased cases of vandalism targeting telecommunications and electricity supply chain that occasioned several cases of power outages.
We have put a moratorium on the export or buying and selling of any scrap material until we have put in place proper guidelines that will ensure that that material is not coming from the hard-won investments.
However, last week the government announced the lifting of the ban on dealing, buying and selling of scrap metal in the country effective from beginning of this month.
Most of our members live on less than $1 per day. So if you tell them to buy a license of 50,000, it is not possible with them.
But it was not a blanket lifting of the ban. It was on condition that only those duly registered and licensed can operate.
Trading in scrap metal will be confined to all those who are duly licensed.
A spot check by KBC Channel 1 found that business was slowly resuming, albeit complaints from operators.
Mambo ya license hiyo bila imeweka hiyo mambo ya license juu, kwa sababu ndio inafanya watu hawezi kuuzia scrap, kwa sababu wakifungua wanatakana hizo license, na hiyo license ndio inaleta shida, ndio sababu hawezi fungua scrap. Sasa mambo ya license yamefanya tunaumia zaidi.
Among key concerns for scrap metal dealers is what they term as high license fees. Licensed dealers, millers and smelters trading over 5 tons of scrap metal are required to pay an annual fee of 250,000 shillings. Collectors, Juakali businesses trading over 3 tons pay 150,000 shillings in annual fee, while steel fabricators, motor vehicle salvage operators and stockists of second-hand motor spares, rewinders and local welders are to pay 50,000 shillings annually.
Kulingana na vile scrap metal zilikuwa zimefungwa na rais, tulikuwa affected so much. Tuliumia sana. Biashara zetu zikarudi chini. Hata bei za vitu zikapanda. Zile kidogo zenye tulikuwa tunapata zilikuwa na bei za juu. Kwa hivyo hata bidhaa zenye tulikuwa tunatengeneza hazingeweza kupata soko, kwa sababu wateja wangekuja wakisikia bei yenye tumelipisha kulingana na material yenye tumenunua, walikuwa wanasema kwamba ni bei ya juu.
Those contravening the rules will be liable to penalties, including fines or prison terms upon conviction. With a membership of 7,500, the Juakali Association is calling for a review of the terms for scrap metal operators to continue in efforts to secure the livelihood of its members across the value chain.
We were just requesting the President if it was better to visit our sector or meet the officials from the Juakali Kamukunji so that we can raise our complaint direct to him so that we can see where we can put our problem for our members.
The Juakali Association says a handful of the members have so far complied with the stringent registration and licensing rules.
With the lift of the ban on scrap metal use, they argue that the cost required in as far as fees are concerned is way out of their reach, and they ponder if the government can really give them an opportunity to continue doing business in a conducive environment. I'm Regina Manyara, you're watching KBC Channel 1.
Thank you, Regina, for that detailed report. Now, from Juakali to the tea sector, where the Tea Research Institute plans to establish a specialty tea incubator that will set standards for orthodox tea meant for export. This is part of a plan to reduce orthodox tea variations as Kenya seeks to increase specialty tea export volumes and earnings.
Kenya exported 558 million kilos of tea last year, up from 518 million kilos shipped in 2020. This saw year-on-year earnings increased 13% to 136 billion shillings. However, of this, orthodox tea exports only accounted for 1% of the total export volumes. To show up production of specialty tea, the Tea Research Institute is in the process of starting incubation services for those seeking to invest in specialty tea cottages. The institute is keen on drastically increasing the number of orthodox tea cottages from the current 20 by offering technical assistance and training to specialty tea processors.
It will be incumbent upon the interested parties to come to tea research for training so that they are thoroughly trained. We take them through the A to Z of cottage tea processing.
The incubators will also create standard for orthodox tea destined for the export market to reduce quality variation of produce from Kenya.
Any investor who is ready to invest in the tea industry, first of all, they have to be registered by the Tea Board of Kenya. For them to invest, they have to have the capital. And with cottage tea processing, with about 20 million, you're good to go. And with at least 50 acres of teas.
Kenya is seeking to increase her global orthodox tea market share that is currently dominated by China, which exports about 350 million kilos of specialty tea annually.
There's potential for specialty tea markets in the world, majorly in Europe and America. Specialty tea being, by virtue of it being of high value, it fetches more.
Considering Kenyan tea is almost organically grown, we do not spray our teas. We have the best tea varieties for specialty products. So it will be very easy for eventually our tea specialty teas to dislodge other specialty teas from other sources like China and Sri Lanka.
Germany is among markets that Kenya is eyeing to increase shipments of specialty tea, as well as other European countries.
Let me now take you to Kitui County, where groups of women have swapped charcoal burning and logging activities with fruit and vegetable farming in effort to conserve the forest cover. The group grows fruits in deforested areas, both as an economic activity and to conserve the environment.
It acts as a medicinal. We are making sure that it is not used up for cutting firewood.
We prefer to plant a moringa tree. We use its leaves for medicine. We crush the seeds to clean our water for drinking. And its leaves, when it drops down, it makes manure to protect our earth.
In her younger days, Museni Ndanu witnessed trees in her home area felled regularly for charcoal and logging as source of livelihood. However, the situation is slowly changing as groups of women in the area have taken up horticulture farming.
Going through the pots, we ensure that we do what we call root pruning.
The women are reclaiming degraded forest land by growing an assortment of fruit trees and vegetables.
Tumeshukuru kwa hiyo, imetusaidia sana, imetufunza vile tutakuwa tunafanya mashamba yetu. Kama hii yangu haina mbolea, nianze na hii miti ndio nimepanda, ndio hii shamba ikiwa hii miti imetoa matawi, ikiongezekea mbolea nitakuwa ninapanda kama mahindi ama mbaazi, siwe zinanisaidia kwa chakula ya watoto.
The women plant indigenous trees alongside fruit trees and have started nurseries to scale up fruit production.
Kwa jua miti ingine ni dawa na matunda tunapanda kama passion fruits, papai na mboga ya kutusaidia.
The group of 16 says each make 25,000 shillings a month from this venture and are planning to scale up their operations and expand their markets.
Tumesaidika sana kwa hiyo, na kuna mahali tumetoa, tulikuwa hatujui la kufanya tukiwa na shamba kama hii, na vile vile matunda inatusaidia sana kwa sababu tuko na watoto, na hii mti itakaa kama miaka 15 na tumeifurahia.
The International Tree Foundation and Kenya Forest Research Institute are working with the group to inculcate the best afforestation practices to sustain their venture and restore the area's forest cover.
Where communities burn and produce charcoal, there's over-harvesting of sandalwood that is of concern, but also very much available in these ecosystems. Logging, particularly for furniture and for other purposes. The natural regeneration areas, we are seeing the conversion them into commercial and also other land uses.
International Tree Foundation, we plant trees with the communities. It's a community-led organization whereby we work with the communities to conserve our forests. We believe that women are the beginners and nurturers of nature. We also incorporate fruits for nutrition. They are doing it as an investment, as an enterprise, so that they are able to keep their children in school. And together with the women in all communities that we work in, we have seen quite a big difference on the forests, on their areas in their farms.
In the dry areas, we have got a lot of indigenous fruit trees which have been not been properly utilized. One of them is the Vitex bios. In the local name is called Kimu. The other one is Zemenia. The other one is Baobab, the huge tree. We are trying to add value other than selling the seeds like Baobab. You get the mabuyu, but from the mabuyu you can add value and get some juice from it. For the pios or Vitex pios, we can also get jam instead of using the common bluebird we are using. In the dry areas, especially here in Kitui, a lot of lands or farmlands have been degraded. We have come up with dryland babu, which we are trying to reclaim or rehabilitate, and we are trying to tell farmers how to capture or how to reverse the trend of the soil erosion using the bamboo for soil conservation.
The groups hope that the afforestation venture will not only sustain their livelihoods, but also improve the area's ecology to support more farming activities in future. Benson Rioba for FarmWise.
Culture makes us have beliefs, values, mindsets, and practices. Through culture, we get to see the behavior pattern and norms of a specific group. Their rules, their assumptions, their perceptions, and try to understand the logic and reasoning behind those assumptions.
Family is normally not allowed into the compound, no.
If it is taboo to eat chicken, and you have eaten chicken, the entire village would know that so-and-so's wife is a wolf.
Walikuwa wanapata adhabu. Ile adhabu inaitwa malu.
Every Friday at 9 p.m., KBC features different communities in Kenya for an opportunity to understand their specific belief or practice.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Ili kupata daktari wa tumbo kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *811 *396#.
Alo, daktari. Nimekula githeri sahani ya kwanza, sahani ya pili, alafu sahani ya tatu. Nikapandilia avocado 2. Wakanilazimisha na mchele vijiko 7.
Kupata daktari wa tumbo, dial *811 *396#. *811 *396#.
Welcome back. The resort town of Malindi has a hidden gem which is among the oldest and most unique animals and birds orphanage that is located at the heart of the town. Falconry of Kenya Griff Park and Eagle Park is home to diverse species of animals, including a 128-year-old turtle that is aging gracefully under the care of well-trained caretakers. Our reporter Nduta Mukami has more details on this animal orphanage.
History of the place, you ask Michael, huh?
The Falconry of Kenya has been home to different animal species over the years that saw animals brought in by locals establish it as a rescue center. Michael Kahindi, the man behind the steering wheel of the animal orphanage, has always made sure that the animals are properly fed and taken care of. Among the main challenges that Kahindi has faced is treating the injuries sustained by the animals when in the wild.
Kwa minajili ya kuwasaidia. It's like a rescue center. Tunapata akiwa wameumia,
ama ameanguka kwa kiota kwa sababu ya baridi nyingi, tunawahifadhi. Wale ambao wanaweza kurudishwa kwa msitu tunawaregesha, lakini wale ambao wameumia kiwango cha kwamba hawezi kujisaidia kwa msitu tunawahifadhi hapa. Kama aliyevunjika bawa, ana jicho moja, ama amevunjika mguu, ndege kama yule huwa hawezi kuishi vizuri msituni. So tunawahifadhi hapa, na kama inawezekana tunaweza kuwafanyia breeding, na watoto tunawaachilia, wazazi wanabaki tu hapa.
Kahindi says Falconry of Kenya funds its operations from entry fees at the gate and individual sponsors who visit, which is not sustainable, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic that drastically affected inflows.
Imetuathiri sana kwa sababu kama hizo bei ambazo nimekwambia za Wakenya huwa ni kidogo mno. Tunategemea sana na watu wa nje, lakini COVID ilipoanza kila kitu ikasambaratika. Kwa hivyo sasa hivi tunajaribu kujikakamua kupata donations from our local people, na pia ile kidogo tunapata from our local people ndio inatusaidia kufinance hawa wanyama.
Structures housing the animals and the general infrastructure at the center are dilapidated and in need of renovation.
The condition here after the corona and everything, so I decided to help and get some of my members, like Million Footprints or Malindi Info in Germany. We have a lot of people who are ready to help. They are already in conservation and in nature protection.
The facility is a monumental pillar within the community, as visitors are normally enlightened on the importance of not hurting animals. At the center, there is a bar and cafe that offers visitors a calming and serene environment to relax. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Dutamo Kami.
The Capital Markets Authority has published the revised rules seeking to enable access to the capital markets by small and medium-sized enterprises to raise both equity and debt capital. The CMA targets to have more companies list on the Nairobi Securities Exchange and stimulate more initial public offers. The draft regulations will address emerging issues and market dynamics to respond to evolving needs of issuers and investors.
To increase unretained listings at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, support capital raising by small and medium enterprises, and enhance investor protection, the Capital Markets Authority has developed draft public offers, listing and disclosures regulations, and commenced a 30-day public exposure of the same. The review of the public offers, listing and disclosures regulations aims at facilitating a legal framework to support financing of flagship projects through the capital markets. The current 10-year Capital Markets Master Plan also recommends the need for a review of the regulations to streamline the listing requirements and encourage capital raisings and listings on the NSE. The review is expected to align the regulatory framework to market realities, including the advancement of technology, which has transformed the way markets operate, including the capital raising business models. It further addresses approval turnaround times, shelf registration and valuation of securities, among other gaps in the existing public offers, listings and disclosures regulations. The draft regulations have also introduced two new market segments, the SME fixed income securities market segment and the small and medium enterprise market segment. The SME fixed income securities market segment is a market segment for listing debt securities with an initial offer size below 250 million shillings or an amount set by the CMA. The small and medium enterprises market segment is a market segment for listing non-debt securities issued by SMEs. Other offers introduced include special purpose acquisition vehicles, which are issuers set up to raise funds through an initial public offering by buying another company, and electronic offers of securities, considering the use of the internet or other electronic automated means.
Well, good evening and thank you for joining us for tonight's edition of KBC Sports with me, Richard Munga. Now, three-time Olympic champion Shelley-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Tokyo 2020 gold medalist Lamont Marcel Jacobs arrived in the country ahead of Saturday's Kip Keino Classic Continental Tour gold label meet in Nairobi.
Three-time Olympic champion Shelley-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Tokyo 2020 gold medalist Lamont Marcel Jacobs have arrived in the country. The Jamaican sprint queen and 9-time world champion Fraser-Pryce will scale back her race, eyeing to win a 10th World Championships gold at the 2022 World Athletics Championships in Eugene, Oregon this summer.
And as a Jamaican, we are known for sprinting, and we definitely want to be in a country that embraces us and supports us as athletes, and why not come to Kenya?
Meanwhile, Italian hero Jacobs will also compete at the Kip Keino Classic. Jacobs stunned the world when he stormed to a surprise men's 100 meters victory at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics and is looking to extend his imposing form this year.
Fantastic, it's amazing. It's my first time in Africa and in Kenya. I'm really happy to be here. I can't wait to compete. I know the track is really fast. I have a good competition. It's a really good competition, and I can't wait to compete.
27-year-old Jacobs will count the challenge posed by an intimidating men's 100 meters field at the Kip Keino Classic that has, among others, American Fred Curley, whom he beat in Tokyo, and African record holder Fanidad Omanyala from Kenya.
Meanwhile, Ghana's exchequers were held to a barren draw by USIU today afternoon as the ongoing International Gold Cup Invitational Hockey Tournament entered its last day at the Sikh Union Club in Nairobi. Earlier on, the Kenya Police men's team registered their third win in the tournament, following the 3-2 win over Strathmore University at the same venue.
Kenya Police defeated Strathmore University 3-2 in the International Gold Cup Invitational Hockey Tournament, which ends tomorrow. Kenya Police won after their forward, Oliver Echenje, and tactical midfielder Moses Cheplaiti successfully converted awarded penalty corners after forward Titus Kemutai had opened the score with a field goal. Strathmore was not left behind as managed to net 2 field goals, with Nicholas Muchiti netting in the 36th minute and Noel Lomotum giving the team their second goal in the 47th minute.
The main thing we're supposed to do tomorrow is man-on-man, because they move to space most of the time. So we have to cut the spaces, and we'll win the trophy for National Police Service and our SACCO, who are the sponsors.
Our major undoing thing was conversion rate, and it's the thing that we are going to work on it.
The return match was an act of sweet revenge for police who had lost 1-0 to Strathmore University Gladiators in their first match.
Today we played very well, but we were able to take our chances. But we are hoping to win our next game against police to lift the trophy back home.
In a match played later on, Ghana's exchequers were held to a goalless draw by the USIU University, which had initially lost 2-0 to the Ghanaian team. USIU goalkeeper Samuel Selong managed to save the team by successfully stopping 8 penalty corners.
We've learned how to mostly maintain our structure, which has been a challenge, and to control the game. Yes, and also in our finishing, we have improved. We had a struggle of converting goals, but at least in this tournament we have scored at least goals, yes.
The exchequers are leading with 11 points, while Kenya Police comes second with 9 points.
We didn't expect this toughness, but then it's a game, and we appreciate whatever has come.
The boys have it, and they have what it takes, and we believe in them. So we believe we will have a win tomorrow.
USIU and Strathmore are 3rd and 4th respectively in the round-robin tournament that is being played both home and away. For sports, I'm Nora Mwangi.
Well, that's all the time we had for sports. Maybe anything to add?
And the action? I'm sure you're excited about the comeback by Real Madrid yesterday against Man City.
Of course, it was an exciting game.
Yes.
And I mean, most football fans, they were hoping that Man City doesn't make it to the final. And, well, I'm trying to keep myself from
you got
celebrating.
your way.
We actually did. And the Europa League resumes tonight, the second leg of the semi-finals, whereby you have West Ham United playing against Eintracht Frankfurt of Germany, while Rangers take on Leipzig. Both German teams actually lead on aggregate from the first leg matches. Rangers 1-0 behind, of course, Leipzig, and West Ham 2-1 down against Frankfurt. So maybe that's something to look forward to tonight.
And we're going to leave on a high note since Munga is all excited. But from me and the rest of the team, we wish you a good night.
Do have a good night.